So this morning, before I get started, I want to remind everyone why I'm doing these videos. This YouTube channel is solely for the purpose of shouting a message that Israel is going to be saved from all their enemies. All Israel will be gathered, both good and bad, will be gathered back to the Holy Land once again in the last days when the 77s are complete, and I have proven using 5th grade math that the 77s are indeed complete. There is no more time left, and as is written in both in all the prophets, and Paul backs up in Romans 11 verse 26, all Israel shall be saved. And to remind everyone the crimes that the Christians committed against the Jews, from Constantine all the way to the Holocaust, I wear the clothing of shame that the Jews were forced to wear by these criminal elements in Europe to honor those who fell at the hands of the bloodthirsty people of Europe who call themselves Christians, who pillaged, raped, and murdered the Jews and the followers of Yehoshua in the name of Jesus. They did it. And may those sons of Cain be repaid for their evil deeds on Judgment Day. Now, it appears that something is going on in Iran, and I believe this does, there are implications of this, not just in Iran, but in all the nations around the world, that all the nations around the world will be set up for civil unrest when Jehovah returns to crown the son of David as Israel's Messiah. So an article in Times of Israel, and I'm just not sure what article to use for this because there's not enough attention to detail paid in this story, unfortunately. So I will use the Times of Israel. It says 2 confirmed killed in Iran, where officials warn protesters will pay. What's going on is a few days ago, protests started, kind of like the protests in 2009 in Iran, and it spread over many cities in Iran. And so this, it says 2 confirmed killed in Iran, where officials warn protesters will pay. Dozens arrested as demonstrations against cost of living, unemployment spread. Authorities insist security forces did not fire at the crowd. They're wanting to blame somebody else for shooting these protesters. Iran warned on Sunday that protesters will pay the price after a third night of unrest saw mass demonstrations across the country, which 2 people were confirmed killed and dozens were arrested. As videos on social media showed thousands marching across the country, an official in the small western town of Darude said 2 people had been killed during protests but denied security forces had fired in the crowd. A number of people took to the streets responding to calls from hostile groups. Loristan Province Deputy Governor Habibola uh, told state television. Unfortunately, in these clashes, 2 citizens from Darude were killed. No bullets were fired by police, military, or security forces toward the people. Videos on social media overnight showed demonstrations in Isfahan, Mashhad, and other many smaller cities, but travel restrictions and limited coverage by official media made it difficult to confirm the reports. Semi-official conservative outlets confirmed an evening attack on a town hall in Tehran and showed protesters attacking banks and municipal buildings in other parts of the country. Those who damage public property, disrupt order, and break the law must be responsible for their behavior and pay the price, says the Interior Minister on state television on early Sunday. The spreading of violence, fear, and terror will definitely be confronted. So, Iranian authorities said the majority of social media reports were emanated from regional rival Saudi Arabia and exile groups based in Europe. Internet was temporarily cut on mobile phones on Saturday night, but restored not long after. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani, who came to power in 2013 promising to mend the economy and ease social tensions, has not made any statement since the unrest broke out in the country's second most populous city, Mashhad, on Thursday. The protests began over high living costs and struggling economy before spreading quickly to other areas and turning against the Islamic regime as a whole. Slogans such as "Death to the Dictator" have been heard throughout the protests. Now, unfortunately, I'm reading this, and that's not the only thing that has been, that's not the only chant that has been spread throughout the protests. Other chants are, "Get out of Syria, get out of Gaza, get out of Lebanon." So these protesters don't want to have anything to do with Iran's intention to take over the Middle East, you see. And of course, you know what's going to happen next, don't you? These folks, these mullahs over there in Iran will do anything. Let me say that again. Those mullahs in Iran will do anything to stay in power. So what will they do? It behooves everyone to pay attention to what's going on. And now there's a report on terrormonitor.org. Now I went to look up terrormonitor.org and it's either the site's been taken off or I'm not sure what happened to it. I'm sure that there's probably an Iranian site, although .org is American, so I don't know what's going on here. But at any rate, there are videos. You can look for videos of apparently a Sunni jihadist group that operates in Iran. Shows a video of them blowing up a pipeline in Iran's Khuzestan province. So that's apparently a Sunni Arab separatist area. And so I'm going to go ahead and read from Zero Hedge. Now, folks, there are a lot of anti-Semite remarks, comments in the comment section on Zero Hedge. I want to warn you. However, keeping that in mind when you read some of these articles. So Um, though Iran has yet to confirm the attack, the terror group Ansar al-Furqan, Ahwaz Martyrs Brigade, claimed responsibility in an official statement which noted the operation was conducted to inflict losses on the economy of the criminal Iranian regime. Ansar al-Furqan is a relatively new group, having been founded in 2013 and has ties to Syria's al-Qaeda-linked al-Nusra Front, currently called Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. It is comprised primarily of Baluchi Salafist militants which are hostile to the Iranian government. The Baluch people, an ethno-linguistic group, are spread primarily throughout the southern Iran, Afghanistan, and western Pakistan. Both the video and written statement identify the location of the attack as near Omidyah, a city in the Khuzestan province, an area of the country which has witnessed periodic uprisings, sporadic bombings going back to 1979 and into the mid-2000s. Now they've got video showing this particular incident, and then apparently President of the United States Donald Trump is weighing in on these Iranian protests. And again, please, folks, let me warn you that these mullahs will do anything. They will accuse anybody, including Israel, of fomenting this uprising. But in fact, we all know the truth. We all know that Iran is to blame for Iran's problems. But they will find an excuse to go after Saudi Arabia and Israel. And even the United States, in word, they are already blaming the United States and Israel as we speak. So, stay tuned. Keep your eye on the not mainstream media. Mainstream media are always late. They're always late. It's hard to find up-to-date material anymore. One of the best ones is Debka File, but even they can be slow at times. But they did post a report about Jordan's King Abdullah arrested his brothers and a cousin because of covert ties with Saudi Arabia. So, and they do have their, they do have the report on the Iranian anti-government protesters, but this thing is deteriorating by the hour. There are reports of them moving missiles around, the Iranians. Whether they are defensive missiles or offensive missiles, it's hard to say yet. That's all the more reason why people need to prepare. And what I suspect is this. They will have to come down hard on the protesters, kill a bunch of them, blame Israel for it, and then who knows what they'll do next. So, once again, I say pay attention.